thank you for having a time doing that. We are very excited to have you as one of our, actually the first in years new teacher at the school, because we used to have a few sessions with the other guys from the industry, but right now we are really pulling the strings to make something cool. Life has been, the world has been different for the last couple of years, and we of course always try to adapt to certain aspects of life and to make the school the best experience for the students. We of course want to provide something extra, and that's why, for instance, today we have Maarten Hermans, who I met actually a couple months ago. I knew your work from before, but I never met you until Denmark, right? The event.
Yeah. That was the first time. Yeah.
So I've been on your speech, and the philosophy that you are, the design philosophy that you are sharing with people, struck me so much that it was like, hey, this dude actually knows what he's talking about, and it's very, very similar to how we try to translate the design knowledge, right? Which is very vague for a lot of people, because me or Mikkel, we were mentioning that for years, that job as a concept artist, it's something more than what you usually see on our art station, right? Even when you drop keyframes or action-packed scenes, there is a lot of thinking behind it. There is a lot of actual designing process, and I love that you put those hard surface designs into its living environment, so it looks like it belongs to the world. It belongs to the part of the world that you want to convey. And natural thing for us, since we were both your fans of your work, we just wanted to get you on board, and happily you are on the first line, the first hour new teacher. After we totally re-upgraded and refurbished our website, so the whole service is getting much bigger, and we are very happy that you will be the first to kick it off. So I'm stopping talking right now. I really want to hear what you have today to talk about, and we of course have a lot of great questions also, but I'm gonna give the voice to you. Very nice to see you, man.
I am really excited to jump on board, because what you guys don't know is I started out learning concept art watching Level Up. I was painting on one screen and I had Level Up on the other screen. So meeting you and and Mikkel as well, you guys were my idols when I started out, and now I'm standing side by side with you guys, which is a great honor. So
the honor is ours.
Yeah, the honor is ours. That's always the thing, you met great artists that you look up to, or because if you are open-minded, if you are very how to say that, if you are very motivated and dedicated to what you do, you of course get inspired by a lot of different people, right? A lot of artists. That's why we also wanted to have you, for instance, or the other guys that are doing stuff that we also partly do, but in a totally different way. So that's actually great that the people are having their own, techniques or their own approach, and we of course stand for the same philosophy, but everyone is expressing it very originally or uniquely. So that was a great motivation or drive for us to pursue artists like you to get started, and I'm always very I'm getting a blush when I see the artists that I really love work, or I really love getting inspired, and they're like, hey, you're my idol, it's just no, you are, so that's pretty cool that that the world of the artist is pretty much condensed, very much small, I would say, but everyone can get inspired by each other. And that actually would bring us to the first question: where do you get your inspiration from on a daily basis? Because I know you do stuff commercially, but I know that you also develop your own designs on the side. So that would be very interesting to hear.
I love just digging into military history in general, and especially when you start to get into, I would say like the weird experiments that you can find in terms of engineering and everything. Like especially World War II and the Cold War, people built some crazy stuff back then, like some seriously crazy stuff, and I just love digging into that. You know, sometimes I find some stuff on Pinterest, and then I'll try to trace the, let's say the vehicle name, and then try to read up on that. And chances are, like, if you start Googling and you venture you venture beyond the first page, then you start to get into like the Web 1.0 HTML looking websites that haven't been updated since like 1999 or something. But oftentimes you find really in-depth knowledge about how the thing was designed, or you know, like the overall history of vehicles. And that, I don't know, it just, I geek out on that kind of stuff, you know.
Nice. I think I have when you say that, it's very reminiscent of what I've been going through. Are you, by any chance, have you been raised near a military base like I did?
Yeah. We've got pretty much surrounded. There's a place in Belgium that holds nukes. That's about, I would say, like a good 20 kilometers from my house.
But you are
and
in
then
Holland,
we've got
though.
the
You were
airfield
raised
as well.
in Holland, no? Or in Belgium?
No, in Belgium.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then what is like a great fun fact as well, you've got the FN P90, you know, like one of the most iconic guns ever, in terms of shape design at least.
Yeah.
FN is located, I think, about like a 10-minute drive from where I live.
You mean
so
the factory?
On a good day, the factory, yeah.
Nice.
So on a good day, you can hear the shooting ranges, for
nice.
instance, and yeah. So. A lot of military presence in this area. And also, I live about, I would say, 5 minutes from the local library. And when I was young, you could rent like 12 books at a time or something, and then you could keep them for 3 weeks. And I would go right into the informative section, and there were like these books with cutaway drawings of tanks and submarines and whatnot. And I would rent those and just look in them for hours on end. So in terms of vehicle design, I just had like a jump start, like a head start from when I was a kid, I think.
Yeah.
So you know,
we can definitely, I guess, high five each other in that one, because I am the same way. You know, grew up near a naval base, loads of ships.
That's cool.
Military helicopters, Black Hawks, Apaches, military vehicles.
Oh man.
Those transport carriers. Super amazing. And on top of that, So it really shows that, like, it really impacts our design thinking in a way based on where you were raised. Because Darek, for example, being born and raised in a very historic, iconic city full of beautiful architecture, I can really see
that's true.
that style being echoing through his design language over and over again. This is where creativity really means something to me, where it really becomes a story that is being, you know, there from the beginning. It's being pulled from the deep of your
that's it.
implicit and explicit memory. It's really, really beautiful. Well, for the interest of you know, the potential students, and for people that are maybe thinking to sign up, or shall I sign up? Shall I not sign up? Can you maybe
You should sign up.
Can you maybe tell us, maybe at first, in a brief way, what can people expect when they sign up for your workshop?
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, so we've got 2 days, and we'll start out on day 1, where I'll try and just take you through how I would just approach a personal design, not necessarily a client design, because I think personal work is pretty much the most important thing that you can do as an artist. And then I mean not like the relaxing, I don't know, do like a speed paint, 3
Yes.
sci-fi towers in a field exercise, but I just mean like a proper personal piece where you try and just push every single boundary that you have. So I'll try and cover that, and I'll start out talking about my design influences. I'll start out talking about just generally how I would think about finding a good design hook, like a great function, or a function that kind of speaks to the imagination. I'll talk, for instance, I'll talk about the difference between actual real-world design and entertainment design, because we're still like, we're trying to make something cool, right? So I'll talk about those differences as well. I'll take you through how I look for references, and especially the bigger thing, the bigger issue I see with a lot of people is like, how do you break down the references? Because people don't look, like, they don't look. They make a ref board and they go like, I got it, and then they'll dive into Blender or Moe or whatever, and then they'll just do the same thing all over. So I'll talk about that as well, and then we'll sort of take a more relaxed approach, and then I'll show you how I approach like first blockouts, draw overs, and just kind of like how to actually execute the design, how to take it away from like a kind of rough-ish blockout to a more refined state in such a way that you don't like fall into the typical hard surface design cliches, you know, with you know what I'm talking about, like the Boolean details, and yeah.
I find it very interesting that you said that people don't look when they have the reference in front of you. And I remember one thing that you mentioned during your speech at Cave. It was about limit your references. So I mean, like, of course, deepen the reference or deepen the research, but limit the references that you look at the same time. And I found it very very common that the bigger mood board you get, the bigger mood board you have for your designs, the easier you get lost. So of course you need to have like a certain foundation or fundamentals written or like prepared, or you get to deepen certain knowledge. But when it comes to shapes, it's better to have just 2 or 3 references than 30, because then you can focus on what the main thing is, what the main shape is about, and try to tweak it to your own liking. Otherwise you just don't know where to look. And I found it very common that we even, when we do our personal work, because I know Mikkel has his personal work, personal projects. I'm developing that for a couple months as well. And each time you kind of get back to like a school. I mean, like you get hooked that you might have a little bit too much references. You might overthink certain stuff. You might lose the entertainment aspect, you know, to even when I was like showing some design today to Mikkel, and we were like thinking about the position of the engines, maybe it's too close to the body, but he said like, yeah, but the silhouette is good, you know, like we have to kind of keep reminding that we are in the end doing the entertainment industry designs, and they have a chance to be iconic when they bring entertainment, right? If they are just functional, it might not be enough, right? It needs to be somehow a bit of entertainment snatched through the designs as well, right?
I think you said it right. I don't know where I think it was Daniel Simon. You know, you guys all know Daniel Simon, right? Like if you need to do some homework. I think he said in Cosmic Motors, he said like whatever you're designing a character, and the character needs to have a face. And I thought like, God damn it, he's right. You know, you're let's say you're designing a big fat truck. That thing needs to have a certain character to first and foremost address your emotional response. You know, like well, when you talk about like your reptilian brain needs to be tingled first, because that's the quickest, right? That's the one that gets you hooked on something in the first place. And then you need to think about like all the stuff that comes afterwards, all the rational details and the functioning and like how does this door open and whatnot. But if like that first emotional response that your reptilian brain makes and your limbic system, you're fucked, because you put in all the work, but people don't get like the ooh, you know, they don't get like the thrill of watching your design, and then you're lost in entertainment terms, of course, you know, because if you're doing real world stuff, like it has to work first, obviously, but you know, yeah.
It's a very nice point. It's a character every time. Doesn't matter if it's a vehicle, building. It needs to trigger emotions. That's definitely what we always go through, and that's definitely where we find the overall design philosophy, no matter what class we teach. And of course, then we go per class into each and every specific. But it's very nice that what you just said really does align with our overall philosophy. It is a character, because characters, they trigger emotions. Big fat truck versus a sleeky, sporty, agile-looking design, right?
Yeah.
Super cool. How much, like 2 days is not much. How much of Blender knowledge would I need coming into your class? Because you'll be using Blender, right? I'm sorry, I'm just like...
I'll be using Blender, but mind you though, it's not gonna be super software specific. I mean, like obviously there's things in Blender that are specific to Blender, and let's say if you still use 3ds Max or something, you might have troubles with some stuff, but in general it's more about the modeling philosophy, not so much than about like the technical aspect. Because people tend to, like, I notice a lot of people get stuck like right behind the block out phase, and they sort of like panic, and then they start to throw in Git bash parts, and then you go like, oh yeah, that's Black Phoenix, good.
Exactly.
You can see that. Yeah, so it's more about the philosophy behind the modeling that I'll talk about, like how to approach it and how to break it down into more realistic parts and everything, than necessarily like the technical aspects of Blender.
Oh, awesome.
Nice.
I have a question to that, because I know that we will be actively, for sure, joining your class.
Yeah, it's great.
It's from the student's point of view, because we actually didn't discuss it before, I guess, but we have like people that will be running like 3 days or 5 days classes as well. They will be spread across the couple weeks, for instance. I know you wanted to do it like a nice streamlined way of 2 days. Do you expect students to do certain homework that you can give them the feedback maybe week or 2 weeks after the works? Because I know that what always gives people extra push. Do you expect something like that to happen?
Expecting, no. But honestly, it's still open for me. So, like, if the majority of people would like to do that, then yeah, let's do it. You know, or maybe we could just wrap it up afterwards with. I'll record like an hour feedback session while I'll go through the work or something, or we'll see like where it leads to. But I think that could be cool, actually. Yeah. Then you can close the circle. You know.
Yeah. Because, like, for instance, what we actually notice from our experience when we run like the full term or specific class, and it lasts like for 8 weeks, the last week is usually like getting ready for like the final presentable design or presentable illustration or whatever is the topic of the course, and that extra like a week to fine tune for people is like a blessing, you know. And I know from for instance, if you jump on a topic that you are not familiar with, or you want to craft or polish up your certain skills, I think it might be, of course, if you are open for it, but it might be an extra push for those people to always bring something like a portfolio piece that, you know, for instance, I did during the Maarten Hermans workshop or course, right? So that's just struck my mind today.
Sounds cool.
And I just had to ask it. So
That sounds cool, man. That sounds cool. Let's do it. Yeah.
Actually, there's one question in the chat from one of our recent students, Joaquin, I guess, was the full name. He actually asked if he can. You have on the top right corner, you have the chat that you can unroll, so you can see people.
Yeah. Got it.
So he is asking, maybe we can do some homework before the class, and when the class starts, we will show you. That's actually some really cool idea as well, but I just don't want to interfere into your program. So
yeah. That sounds pretty cool. I have to think about it just in terms of planning. You know, like how to figure that out. But I think that could be cool. Let me think about it, okay?
Definitely. Yeah, we are flexible with that. It's we actually give our instructors the platform to do whatever they feel might be the most efficient for the learning experience, right? So as I mentioned before, there are artists that didn't want to do like a streamlined 2-3 days. They just wanted to divide it into sections of 1 week, second week, and third week. And these are artists like Maarten that wants to do it like on the go, so like a hardcore, 2 days class. So so we are very flexible with that because I believe the best fruits, the best results you get from the knowledge or from the sharing knowledge or teaching methods are the ones that the certain person who's teaching is doing it their own way. So we just share the platform, and we give the voice to the instructors. So as you guys see, it's open. Maarten is an open-minded person, so we can do certain things before, certain thing after, but we will be definitely updating on the go because we don't want to put an extra pressure on him, So.
No, but don't worry. Like I'll be open and honest about it anyways. Like if it works, awesome, and if it's like a bit of a pickle to fit it in, then we'll see what we can do. I mean, like there might be a next time, or we'll see.
Yes, so to be clear, we'll have the special channel for the workshop. So we set the information, find information if we're going with these homeworks or no, and so students will know exactly where to look.
Yeah. You need it in time, is what you mean.
We'll prepare we will have the special channels for the workshop where all the information is going for the students that will be on your So if you decided to do the homeworks, there is a special place where they can post. So you have date.
Oh yeah, that's great. This is like left brain and right brain stuff conversation, right? You have like the artists who are like, we could do this and we could do that, and then we have the producer coming in who is like, okay,
you have
we
to
need
find something in the middle.
We need to make sure that it actually happened. Yeah.
Awesome.
No, that's great.
Awesome. We have some questions from question and answers chat. Also, for everyone who is watching us, please make sure and feel free to also ask questions. We are thinking about wrapping up this session after an hour or so. So you have a time now if you are not decided, if you haven't signed up yet, and you have specific questions to Maarten, this is the best opportunity now. So we will be picking up questions from the dedicated channel. But if there is anything new that you guys want to ask, please do it now, okay? That's our deal.
Yeah.
We are here for the interaction. Maarten, are you down to go maybe first with some questions from the chat that has been posted beforehand? Are there any questions
I've just been
that you
scrolling
are
through
answer?
it
Because I see that you had a chance to go through. What do you think?
I'll. I had a look at the questions that were asked beforehand, and I've just scrolled through. There's some interesting stuff in there as well. I don't know, like, where do you want me to start with the questions that were asked in advance.
You're the star of the show. You can decide which question you would like to answer.
I'm not used to being the star of the show. You know?
I mean, you can start randomly. You can start on top of the list. It's all up to you.
Yeah. I just saw this interesting question from Bono. Because it's like a quick answer. Because he said at the end of his question, he said, "What and if any sacrifices would you make to keep progressing as a student?" That's pretty simple. Like try and stop doing as much of the stupid shit that you're already doing. Like try and keep that to a minimum. Where you go like video games, it's like okay, let's dial that back to a minimum, you know, or like, okay, I spent so much time watching Netflix in the evening, like try and dial that back to a minimum. Don't exclude them all because you'll burn out and that will probably not work. But like try and see like how far you can push away all that stupid stuff, you know.
Do you play video games, by the way?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm not because I don't like it or like this crazy disciplinary thing or something, but my reflexes are so slow that I just suck at it and I get annoyed, you know. And especially if I try it with friends, they get annoyed at me because I'm like the guy who's not, you know, he doesn't know what everybody's doing or I just mess up, so I don't play.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. All right.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Or
yeah, you want to say something?
Yeah, there was an interesting question.
From?
I don't remember.
I think we can go on top. So we
So
start
one
from
by
the-
one, Wojtek?
Yeah, I think the best. So we could start from the latest for the first one and just go down.
Okay, so maybe before we go, that was a new question from I think Bono again. In our chat. So let's prioritize right now who is live with us and who actually asks questions.
Yeah.
Just wondering if there's any minimum requirement for the workshop, like Blender fluency and so on.
Yeah, like I said, it's more about the modeling philosophy. Like obviously, I hope that you at least know some 3D, just in general. But there's so many tutorials out there. I mean, I'll cover the techniques, I'll talk about them, but if there's anything like that you need to explore in depth, I mean, YouTube is full of Blender videos, so I think it's perfectly okay if you just look back at the recording of the workshop and then you'll find your own way through. Like the technical stuff is just the technical stuff anyways. Like if I teach it or if another guy teaches it, it's fine. You know, I don't think you need to be like a Blender guru already. Like just make the donut or something and then then you're good to go.
That's very similar to what we actually have a conversations about many times with Mikkel, because on one thing you want to actually teach people stuff that is like trending, that basically is very useful from the production point of view, but at the same time when you want to share the philosophy of design or designing or like what actually stands for good work or good art in the end, is like the answer cannot be like, hey, just use this or that plugin and it won't make you great artist. It will make, of course, results much faster, much more beautiful. But that's what I also notice with a lot of works that are getting very repetitive because they are beautifully crafted, but they don't have a good sense of scale, design, composition. Anything that makes the image memorable. And on the other hand, you have guys that are still, for instance, I'm always bringing that up in my class, like Underwalling, right? He is still doing just like, I think Photoshop 7 or Photoshop 8, and he can make amazing compositions, amazing environments, and that's because he has a great fundamentals. He knows how to convey certain aspects that make the art good, not that he actually followed all the trends when it comes like, you know, Blender, Unreal, and what we still want to, of course, teach people.
Yeah.
But that's what makes his work memorable, because everything sits well. You know, composition, colors, lighting, all the fundamentals, shapes, design. You know, so that's very important, and that's what people should keep in mind. On the other hand, though, I believe that minimum aspect, as you said, the minimum of Blender, minimum of like technical knowledge is a must. So guys, you have still almost a month. You have still almost like a month also for the other courses to kick off.
Yeah.
So catch up with that. Like it can be like a 1 week of like spending some time in Blender just to get used to UI, you know, to basic navigation, because you will not fall behind. You will be just focused on creation part, not the technical part. So like, how do I set up certain brush in Photoshop? Like some people could ask like 10 years ago, for instance, right? So
yeah. What brush are you using? You know,
yeah.
it's the same. It's not that important. But I think it's good, like just that you can follow along. That if you're watching with me, that you at least understand 3D software a little bit, so that it's not like all like what, like a big wall of new things coming at you. I think that could be handy. Yeah. And just to come back to the first part of what you were saying, I think with the tools and with the techniques and everything, I think you can make a comparison to learning how to speak. You know, like you can go to certain classes to learn like how to speak in front of an audience and like how to pace yourself and everything, the intonation that you're using. But at the end of the day, you learn how to speak so you can say your message, right? And if you're an artist, I think it's pretty similar. Like Andre Wallen, he just has a great message. And that's what makes the artist compelling, you know. And I see a lot of portfolios where people like learn how to speak and they're just speaking random words. Like there's not really a message behind it. I don't mean like a great philosophical message, but I just mean like there's a certain intent behind your design. And that's the same like if you're doing a keyframe or a vehicle or a character, or like there has to be a message behind it, you know. I think that's more important, and we'll talk about in my workshop, at least we'll talk about that message more than about like the actual speaking, if that makes sense.
Very good. Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, totally. Again, aligns with also the philosophy that we try to abide to every single time. And of course, what experience taught us that every student is different, and you know, we have to calibrate our knowledge channeling accordingly. But yes, when you say you look through a lot of portfolios, they know how to speak, they know kind of the fundamentals, they know how to draw and portray something beautiful. But let's focus, for example, on a project. Can you, for example, show me a dedicated amount of energy towards a thing that you've been creating for the last month or 3? Show me, for example, different explorations or different angles from one concept. Work in a consistent style so that you potentially attract clients, right? Because we have to remember that when you work for a project, from Call of Duty to Assassin's Creed and all the way to movies that Darek does often, right? They all have something in common, that every single project needs a certain style, needs a certain language, and you have to abide to it. If you just have a couple of random beautiful images, that might as well be useful. I'm not saying that it's not, but
no, often, that's true. Yeah.
Often enough, we find ourselves in a situation that we look through portfolios and they just lack a nice array of images that just breathe as a state. They form a synthesis together that really showcase one consistent style, working towards one bottlenecked project. So, awesome.
Awesome.
It sounds good, man.
Bring up the questions, maybe, please. It's a little bit higher. Yeah. So let's maybe just.
I'm going through the chat as well.
Any questions you'd like to pick up, Maarten, or?
Yeah, I see. Cage asked about like how important do you think it is? And he makes a good point too. That he says like for the veterans, it's probably not that relevant, but for more newcomers, like I understand the question. Honestly,
from
like
our
for
side,
me,
we had a little cutoff. Sorry, Maarten. Could you? And I'm not sure if that's for everyone. Could
for
you
everyone.
Please repeat
Yeah,
the
yeah,
question?
yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
So he basically asked like how important is it to be flexible with different types of software, like as a concept artist, especially as a newcomer, not so much like if you're already established or even like a veteran. Honestly, like for me, the software has never been an issue from clients. Like I've never had a client who is like, I would like you to use KeyShot for the renders, because you just use your tools to sort of sell your message, right? I think that has to be key. Obviously, you have to know some software very well, like be it Blender or Moe and then KeyShot for rendering, or that doesn't really matter, but you at least have to like know one workflow pipeline really well, so that you can at least trust yourself with that you can give a solid output on it. And then you can focus on selling your message.
Yeah, exactly. Totally agree on that. I also, from my experience, I think Darek as well, I don't think, guys, if everyone is listening, no one cares what kind of tools you are using. The end result matters. They are paying you for your visual communication, for your ideas, and what tools you use. That's really up to you. There might be exceptions when you are working in-house and they give you an array of tools that they paid the licenses for. So, from my experience, I had to know, for example, how to navigate, at least to navigate through the engine of Unity, so that I could, take my own screenshots, make all the paint. So there are sometimes these kinds of requirements, but you can then connect that again with your own pipeline. So,
That's why I think, just to back up what you guys said, it's very important to stay like flexible and open-minded. So even if there is a possibility that, or there is an opportunity at work that you actually have to use certain thing or certain technology, you can adapt to that very quickly, right? So for instance, as you guys mentioned already, like the result is what matters the most. However, if you can know something extra, it always brings an extra value from yourself. So I noticed our job across the last 10 years or so became more of like a generalist, position. So you started by drawing, then you moved to painting in digital, then you start like photo bashing, then you started using 3D, and now you're just combining all that together, VR, rendering, Unreal Engine, so you can put your own models, walk around your own world, or even into your own assets. That's how it shows that the industry is not only fast forward moving all the time, it's very competitive, because I still agree that you need to have a voice, right? As we were bringing up underwalling, that's making your work iconic, and people or clients are coming back to that. However, the whole industry and the point of the industry is getting new tech, new stuff, new generations of projects are shifting towards making stuff the best possible looking and at the fastest pace, which of course affects the quality many times, and that's why we are noticing that quality is dropping a lot. That's why we are actually at the era of raising AI and all those tools that I don't really see much useful in my workflow, for instance, to be honest. I see clients actually coming back with with a lot of AI briefing and pitching, and you are tasked to do a specific design task. So for instance, I remember by the end of the last year, I was working with my team on a project that was briefed or pitched mostly through characters created in AI, and then they still needed a person or human input to make like a all heavy lifting of actual designing characters so they make sense. So it might bring some ideation part. It might speed up certain things, and I know that we are right now have moved already to AI topic because but I know it's always like
you know it was coming,
it's
right?
hanging always.
Yeah, it's always hanging for our heads.
We have the question about the AI, so it's also can answer that.
But
it's a hot topic, right?
But that's today's reality, right? And I remember someone was asking that before also, like if or how does it affect business, or how does it affect overall industry? So maybe before we will take a voice, I would love to ask this question to you. Did it affect, or how does it affect, or if what is the takeaway that you get from the recent times? Because not many people know, but what's happening with the crisis, with the layoffs, is only partly, or if the minimum effect is by AI, but there's a lot of other aspects to that are happening, and not many people are aware of that. So what is your point of view on that, Maarten?
Oh man, I could definitely feel it that, well, we're not in the best of times in terms of prosperity in the industry. I've been, like, I got, like, sort of laid off at Karakter, not because, like, of terrible performance or anything, but just, like, internal restructuring, because of, I can't give any details. It's not up to me anyways. But I was lucky enough, like, to get recruited for another job, like, just a week later. So, it's easy to speak from that point of view, but yeah. And the whole AI thing, like, I knew it was coming at some point in this discussion anyways, like somebody was gonna bring up a question about it or something, and like, like, obviously I understand and people are scared, and I was actually thinking of recording like a short podcast about the topic. I have zero technical knowledge about AI, so that's like, everything that I could be saying might be 100% wrong. So, but it's just my 2 cents. I am pretty hopeful about it actually, because I see like a trend with a lot of people is like the more automated stuff becomes, and like AI is the ultimate automation, right? The more I seem to be looking for some kind of human connection. And I don't mean this like in a romantic way or like, but I mean as in when I talk to people, like I actually like, I prefer to talk to them even if it's like just video chat or something. And then I just try to be me, you know what I mean? Because I'm looking for a human connection. And I think it's the same thing is going to happen with the whole AI thing. I think it's just like, there's a thing that we might be forgetting, is that we like to look at stuff that's created by humans. It's the same for music, like the computers can write incredibly complex pieces of music already for quite a couple of years, based on like random chord sequences and everything. But nobody gives a shit, right?
Yeah.
Because we actually like to listen to the real person, because there's a connection that you form, and the same goes for when you look at art, when you look at visual art or like even modern art or whatever. There's like, it's what Mikkel said in the beginning, where you say that you're looking at something that comes from the depths of someone's personality. It might not be the case with literally everything you do in your professional work, but I do think there's gonna be like a massive rebound where like just, if you can show you in your work, then that's going to be incredibly valuable, I think, because like the technical part is going to be automated as hell. That's my my take on it.
Very good.
Yeah, I think that's
nicely said, Maarten. Very very nice, and like I can tell that, I don't know if you came up with that answer on the spot, but That's yeah, I can say you're a very intelligent guy, man. It's good to have you with us. It's nice.
I'm not so sure about that part.
Of course, we have limited time, but yeah, I would love to. Yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll do another one if time allows, because it's definitely an interesting topic. Me and Darek have been talking about it as well. Like, are we really going to be interested if eventually a whole video game is going to be created, generated? I cannot call it created. Generated by artificial intelligence. And I don't think so, man.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I'm biased because I don't want to believe that AI will take us over, but are we really that eager to give up our own creativeness, our own thinking and decision making to a machine? What the hell will we end up doing in the end? And now I'm not talking only about art. I'm talking now about the whole spectrum of what we stand for as a civilization. And I think where humans stand apart from animals is that we think, we love thinking, we love to use our minds to come up with all sorts of things. Literature, science, religion, building stuff, architecture, and art, music, like you said. Yeah, where does it lead us? I am, of course, no scaremonger, but and we are always here for the positivity. Always remember that I don't think it is smart to retreat just because AI is on the rise. I think that when the trend is to retreat, you should move forward, because then you stand out more. That's why investing in knowledge is always a good idea. And yeah, sorry, you wanted to say something, because I agree, like I interrupted you.
I agree. No. It's you said, like, we're humans and we love to think, and that's true. We're humans and we love to think, but we also love to connect. You know, like who doesn't love like watching a story that gives you like this little revelation? Like, that's why we tell stories in the first place, right? To teach the lessons to the lessons that we learned to like a new group of people. We've been doing that like ever since we existed, you know, like we used to sit around fires and tell stories, like not because we were bored out of our minds, but just because we tried to give that little bit of knowledge that we had and that our ancestors had. We tried to pass that on. And that's what lies at the core of like everything we look or listen at. The things that compel us, they address, you know, it's the same thing as I explained in the first part, is like when you address like your reptilian brain and your limbic system and your prefrontal cortex, and you got like the woo, you know. Mike Hill talked about that in I think his analysis of Jurassic Park. And the thing is, like, what you say about AI, like, do people want to play a game that's entirely generated? I don't know. I can perfectly see like a big hype coming. At first, definitely, like people will probably want to see the first film that's created entirely by AI. But I think in the long run, I don't know. I think it's just gonna be like this thing, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
In terms of art, like I can understand certain industries are like, when you have something that's like measurable step by step, then everything can be perfectly automated. But art is like, we're constantly looking for that little mental revelation anyways. Like that's what you do in life constantly. So I think we still need those. Yeah,
and basically like what you said when it comes to like human input. I actually I was watching yesterday a documentary on like Dutch painters, and there were just like a few portrait paintings, and you can just like make a snapshot, or you can just stop or pose by, and then you, for instance, look at the certain picture. You know, it can be Rembrandt or like or some like other masters, like we were studying a lot during the digital painting classes, and you are just figuring out or trying to understand, how did he make a certain brushstroke, or how did he make that deliberate choice of the color, or why did he make it, right, in the first place? If I look even at the most beautifully rendered AI picture, I don't give a fuck about how it was created. I just know it's AI, and I don't dive deep into the picture. I don't dive deep into the pixels just to study that. And that was actually...
Because there's no connection, right?
Because it's not connected to myself. It's not that I'm just like scared or like or furious about it. It's about I don't feel the connection because I know it's automatic generated.
Yeah.
So if I know if certain person did this painting or this piece or even this 3D design, I'm trying to understand what was his thoughts about like creating this shape, creating this detail, creating this pattern, this decal, or stuff like that. If I see just like a full of detail automatically generated picture, I don't have any emotional connection to that. And I think that's one of the main thing that will always distance us from the AI generated stuff, you know. And I'm not saying the whole technology is wrong, because if it's gonna be used in a certain way, like if it's gonna be used for like curing people, or if it's gonna be even just like some automating stuff in the design process that's like very boring or very repetitive, or for people that are not technically advanced when it comes to like making like polygonal or subdivisional modeling in Blender. There might be some tools that will speed up some workflow, sure, but as long as you have a full control over the shape, design, the decisions, right? So the decision making still should be made on like a human point of view or human input.
Yeah.
So I know it always gonna be connected with us, because we are connected with that through passion, through hobby, through work, through our lifestyle, and so on. But I'm very positive that it has to be that way, because even when I brought up this project before, and I even spoke to Mikkel today, he got like a new pitch for work. The pitch was made in AI, but they still need him to paint this stuff, right, properly.
Yeah.
So that's the future. That's why, as you guys also noticed, what you guys also mentioned, that's why it's the best time to forge your knowledge, to get better, to craft the fundamentals, because even in the worst case, if you just end up having two people in the room, one will be just prompting and one will be also prompting but has actual taste, knowledge on the fundamentals, you know who the clients will pick up, right?
Yeah.
So that's actually what matters the most. That's why it's the best time to get better at art overall, right? So craft your fundamentals, get better at designing, know new tools, know new techniques. That's why you should sign up to Maarten workshop, I guess, and not only to his, but basically that's what we are gonna give you as a prescription. Is basically we are just teaching out of passion, and we are teaching because we know how it is to deal with AI already in the industry, and how you can actually compete with it and beat that, right? So.
Well said, man. Well said.
Awesome.
It's an amazing conversation where we all agree with each other. No, I'm kidding.
There's no discussion.
I think, Dark is here making some awesome points. We of course talk every day about all kinds of stuff, and this is something that lines up what we recently discussed as well. On a final note, when it comes to AI, there is of course the whole moral thing, where as of now it is not being used in an ethical way, right? It is basically stealing stuff from what we did as concept artists. So that is another topic. That is also another reason why I'm not using it, and like Darek also mentioned, I don't see any creative use as of now to use it, and those are the two main reasons. It lacks the connection that Maarten talks about, that creativity. It doesn't have a clue about good design composition. It can shade and detail like overwhelmingly, that's nice. And then comes the problem with the ethic use of AI, where it scrapes images without consent. So
Yeah.
Anyway, Maarten, because man, time flies, and I cannot believe already an hour passed. I know that we started like a couple of minutes after 7. I don't know how much time you have. We want to respect your time and keep your energy for the workshop, of course. But are there maybe any final questions that you would like to answer, or maybe some things that you would like to mention as an artist or about the workshop overall? The stage is yours.
No, I was just looking through the questions, and then I found one which kind of sounded like some, like a few other questions that were asked, and it's regarding references. But let me get the actual question up again.
Okay.
Ahmed says, how can I use reference images to learn and grow as an artist while avoiding pitfalls that trap beginners when drawing from imagination? Look, the thing is, when you start picking stuff up with your brain, basically, is that you have to see it as like learning. To learn that language is by speaking it. Generally speaking, of course. So I think the best way to actually like learn the drawing from imagination, or the designing from imagination, or like there's nothing wrong, by the way, with relying on references. It's just like when it like really starts to slow you down, that it might be bad, but I think it's actually like a good thing. But where I'm getting at is the best way to do that is by actually drawing your references, I believe, at least. Because the thing is, like, it's been proven that the more senses you can include whilst learning, that the better you will retain that information. So that means like when you're learning, like, I don't know, like theoretical, like for an exam or something, when you're learning math or whatever, that you like actually you write it down or you speak it out loud. You will retain the information a lot better. So when, let's say you're doing a project for some military vehicles or like some Call of Duty stuff, and like you feel completely flushed by all the reference images and the details, pick out like one image and then actually draw it. And don't give a shit about how the drawing looks like. That's not the exercise. Like, you should not be distracted by good line weight and everything. Like, if you can make it look good, obviously, like if that comes to you a bit more naturally, awesome. But that's not the point. The point is actually like to up your dosage of learning. And drawing is a fantastic way to do that. And if you want to go really hardcore, you can do like actual blind drawing. Where the point is that you don't look at your paper, you just look at the reference image and you draw with your hand. And the drawing is going to look like very squiggly and arranged, but you'll get like a really nice organic result. But the thing is, you're just ingraining, you're just like printing the knowledge in your brain and the details and the little things. And that's actually like a really good exercise. I used to do that a lot, I think like a good 10, 12 years ago. Just like pop up a picture of a car engine. Like, I dare you, and then just go start drawing. Yeah, you guys can't see my hand. Like, and don't look at the paper, just don't look. And that way you will pick up so many things. And it's fun. Like, it's a fun way, it's a loose way to pick up stuff instead of having like this very rigid thing. Because that's another thing that we can wrap up with, I think. That has also been proven that you learn, God knows how many percent better when you actually enjoy the learning process.
Of course,
like,
yeah.
because your brain releases dopamine like crazy when you're excited about the thing that you're learning. So if you can make the learning exercise fun, it will work so much better, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I'm very happy that you brought it, because let's make some like a little self promotion. But if you guys go right now, or after you should go now actually, to focalpointschool.com, you will see that each class, we have like week by week schedule, and what we always try to improve upon as a teaching experience or learning experience is actually giving our students tasks that are exciting to us, and we know that we will be excited also to them. Because, for instance, you can study or you can make like a certain briefing for like I don't know, vehicle design or architectural design, and you can just do this like repetitive task, like, oh, I'm gonna get better at drawing this specific church or like this stuff or this vehicle or this car, for instance. But no, we try to always get something extra out of actually giving you guys or giving students the excitement task that will be simulating the task from the industry. So for instance, if you are designing certain architecture, let's maybe make sure that this architecture will sit in certain world IP or world environment that people will be automatically connected to or automatically associated with, right? So that's what I'm very happy that you brought it, because we also love learning by doing stuff we love doing. So for instance, when I was just starting out, I always loved watching movies. So I didn't study, for instance, how to paint certain apple, orange, or like grapes. No, I was just like watching the frames from the movie. They might reflect those objects, but I just wanted to paint it all because it gave me excitement when I was watching this movie or this scene, for instance, right? Or if you like, let's say, a big castle or a beautiful crafted like dropship, you watch certain scene from the movie and you study that from Elysium, for instance, right? You take the snapshot, you study that because it gives you excitement. If you just end up doing like a part of the random vehicle that you don't have any idea about, it might not be as exciting for you as you are actually studying the stuff that you like watching or you like studying. So that's actually the difference, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point, man. That's a good point.
All right. Do we have like any last questions from the chat? Let's give those people who are live with us right now maybe 2-3 more minutes. Do you guys have any final questions, any final thoughts? Keep in mind that Maarten is doing this session for you guys. We are like asking him as questions. We want you to also get interaction with him before the workshop. So if there is anything that you might still want to be cleared out regarding the workshops,
go ahead.
Whatever, go ahead. It's like it's your time right now. If not, we will wrap up in 2 minutes. So whoever is ready, make sure you can drop your question. Okay, there is some question. So from Vincent, considering image making is becoming easier by the minute, what skills do you believe you have become more valuable for companies looking to hire concept designer and artists?
I actually saw that question as well in the question board that was made before this this session.
Yeah,
and I think it's actually
question,
like a really it's a really solid question too, by the way. But it comes down to the thing that we've discussed earlier. I mean, like if everybody makes pretty images, like make sure that there's a good message behind it, and like the message can be just a good design, for instance, or a fun concept, or a character that makes you like feel something. That is what's becoming more and more important, and that dials back to that whole connection thing again. So I think like what the companies are looking for now, in general, because like of course I work in a pretty narrow field of like what is concept art as a whole. But I noticed that they're looking back for that old thing that concept art used to be, like you have to be a guy or a girl who comes up with fun ideas. There was this point, and I'm gonna go like on this tiny mini rant because I had this discussion with a mentor student last week, where I think what happened in the concept art industry, like if you go back to like 2012-ish, there was this game that came out. I don't know if you know it. It's called The Last of Us or something. No, it's a super iconic game, but that also felt for me, looking back to that period, that all of a sudden after that game came out, there was this super high demand that started for guys and girls who can make very refined, realistic, beautifully lit, detailed images. You know, like all of a sudden there was a great need for that, because The Last of Us put like the bar way up there, and all the other game producers, not literally all of them, but you know what I mean, like I'm gonna try and make a point here, they were like, wow, we need to do that too. And then all of a sudden that became like a very, like if you were good at that, you were almost certain to have a job. Like if you were good at photo bashing and you could create like a beautiful cinematic keyframe, awesome, like you were super valuable. And then you have like the newer generations who were looking at those guys from like the 2012 era. And then fast forward and you get 3D that comes spoiling in, and then you've got all of the kit bash assets and the mega scans and whatnot, and the Quixel bridge and all of that stuff came in. And now we're at a point where we sort of reached the plateau that detailed image back there in 2012 is not that hard anymore to create. But we've got a lot of guys who are very good at that, you know? And now we're back here at like 2007-ish, 2008, where we need people who have fun ideas.
Mm-hmm. Design matters.
And I think like that you can bring to a project starts to matter more and more, because that sort of was in the background for a good 6-7 years, I think. Like kind of, not entirely, obviously, but I'm talking about like the ArtStation trending page and about like, I would say like the really famous concept artists and everything. I think if you look at the entire picture, that we're sort of like at that point where it's just not that relevant anymore. And of course, obviously, the guys who are really, really, really good at it, they still have tons of work to do. Like, and they make tons of money as well. Like, if you look at Romain Chuando, the French guy, I mean, like I couldn't do 25% of what he's doing in terms of image making. But I'm just saying in general, I think that's where we're at now. So you need to just invest in, expand your knowledge, you know, so that you can come up with fun ideas. So you can bring up fun ideas when time is due.
That's a, I think, amazing point to wrap it up. Like basically sums up like what we all know, what we were discussing when we met, and what we basically believe in, and what actually is our industry point of view now. Because as you said, like that's actually what matters, like making a fun ideas, making actual designs or concepts that make people drive for a certain thing, right? Whether it's gonna be a movie, a cinematic, or short film, or game, it all starts with the idea. Idea can be scrapped on the paper, it can be written, so it doesn't really matter how detailed it is. It's about what's the message behind it, as you said a couple times today, right?
Yeah.
What's the actual story behind it? So I think that's a great point to summarize what we've been talking about, and I believe it also will bring people who are watching us live today who you are as an artist. So I think just don't wait and sign up. I think it's gonna be an amazing class.
All right, thanks, man. Thanks. And yeah, we'll spend plenty of time talking about that too during the workshop. Is just like how to actually invest in finding out like what your message is, right? And then like how you can actually design stuff around it and create like a fun little world for yourself.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's it. Thank you very much, Maarten, again. Thank you everyone who joined us. Yeah, that was great. I just can't wait to see you guys during his class and during our classes.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a great upcoming months, because the focal point will be very busy. So
Yeah, thank you,
Right.
guys.
Maarten,
Awesome. Looking forward to it, guys.
I must thank you for your time. It was very nice to talk to you, and with this conversation, I can say that I got to know you better as well, and I hope that the potential people that joined us for your class also know your thinking, the way you speak, the way you communicate is phenomenal, and we are very happy again to have you, man. So
thanks, man.
Yeah,
Thanks.
make sure to have a nice evening, and
I will do, man. You guys too.
For everyone who wants to join and enroll the Maarten workshop, there's the link on the chat, so you can go straight to the
So you'll
our
never
shop.
miss it.
Yeah. I think we have to finish. So sorry for that. So I see that some questions are showing up, but I think this is a bit too late for now.
Let's leave something for the workshop, right? So.
Yeah. So. Answers.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
thank you for your time.
Take care,
Cheers.
guys. Bye.
See you there.
Bye.